Okay, Chair, we are live on YouTube.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Economic Development Committee meeting for Thursday, November the 21st, 2024 at 6 p.m. Ms. Lobeck, would you please call roll?
Chair Ottenberg,
Here.
Vice Chair Dodwell, Councilmember Galani,
Here.
Councilmember Hopper, Councilmember Jaxi,
Here.
Councilmember Mabry, Councilmember McCutcheon,
Here.
Councilmember Preston.
Here. Thank you. We have 5 attending, so we do have a quorum. Thank you, those of you who are joining us remotely. We do have a quorum tonight and we appreciate your attendance. So let's move along to the approval of the notes from the October 21st, 2024 meeting. Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding the notes from that meeting? Seeing none, question for the city administrator. Since I did not participate in that meeting, I will have to abstain.
You don't have to, but you can abstain. Yeah, typically it's common practice to abstain. It just needs to be a quorum out of the people that are present. So in this case with 5, 3 would need a vote yes to.
All right, perfect. All right, thank you very much. That's exactly where I was going with that question. Okay, so seeing that there are no questions or suggestions regarding the minutes from the October 21st meeting, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make the motion.
All right, Councilmember Preston makes the motion. Do we have a second out there?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilmember McCutcheon. So we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the October 21st meeting. All of those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye. Aye.
Abstention, and the chair will abstain.
And I will abstain.
All right, thank you. Moving along to public comment. There is no one here present in the room for public comment. Do we have anyone online? All right, we have no one online. So we will move then into discussion items. And first up will be an update on business changes and other business news within the city. So with that, I will turn things over to the city administrator.
Thank you, Chair Ottenberg. A couple updates tonight, and then we'll actually have our Communication Economic Development Manager do a little bit of the leading for the staff side tonight. So good news there. That being said, wanted to do a quick reminder, the holiday tree lighting ceremony is coming up. It is Saturday, December 7th. From 3 to 5:30 p.m. We've got Santa next Thursday. The tree will be getting installed at Plaza. It's a 22-footer, our largest tree yet. So good news on that front. And then also we already have over 12 different businesses that will be decorating trees along Plaza Drive. So great participation from the business community, and if anybody is listening that might be interested, our farmers market manager is actually coordinating a holiday market that'll take place that same day. So it should be a little bit more engaging than it typically is, and we're happy to have it. On top of that, Saniha Spice Grocery, located at 2444 Taylor Road, is preparing to open here in the town center. It's still working on getting things all lined up to open, but they sell authentic Indian and Nepali products. The department has reached out to them about securing a business license, and we're working with them through that process. More importantly, did want to point out that Wildwood Tobacco and Liquor, located at 16435 through, and it's 3 different units, 16437 Village Plaza View Drive, has applied and received a business license and occupancy permit. They're working on renovations. That being said, they will be opening in Village Plaza.
Whereabouts is that?
That is up right off West Glen Farms Drive. Next, if you're looking at it from Highway 100, you would see the Bank of Houston, and it's kind of the frontal component.
La Vallarta, not.
Oh, right there, okay.
La Vallarta, yes.
Gotcha.
So
Alright, sure.
it's actually La Vallarta is on the far, if you're facing the building, far left-hand side.
Mhm.
It's all the way to the right.
Gotcha.
Where
Okay,
they're
very
kind
good.
of catty cornered next to the bank.
Oh, yeah.
But
And city administrator, if you don't mind my interruption here, what specifically, what type of business will that be?
It is it will be a liquor and tobacco store, so they will not be able to sell vaporizer products or anything along those lines, because that is not zoned for that use. That would have to take place in the valley. That being said, per our zoning code, you are allowed to sell tobacco products and liquor products. And that goes for the same as Schnucks and Deerbergs, pretty much one rule for all, because if we were to limit that, then Schnucks and Deerbergs would have to stop selling their alcohol as well.
So do we see it as a cigar store or?
I would look at it as how they have told us what it is. It's a high-end cigar store that also sells some spirits.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, but the whole idea of it was supposed to be very classy, a little bit more upscale. That's been at least what's been told to us by the business owner.
All right, thank you.
On top of that, we also have a State Farm opening over at 16759 Main Street, Suite 210, over here just right down the street. Unfortunately, Mikhail Garrett had passed away. He was a State Farm agent. He passed away within the last 6 months. Stephen Willett has taken over his client list and is actually kind of reopening under the same spirit, honoring Mr. Garrett's spirit. So thank you, Mr. Garrett, for being a long Wildwood resident working here. But we're excited to see him kind of be able to keep pushing forward with that mission. West County Feed and Supply, we were talking about it shortly before we started tonight, located at 17050 Manchester Road, did close back on October 26th. That's due to the recent purchase of the property by Dan Tripp, the owner of Good News Brewing Company. And Good News Brewing Company will look to reopen, and if individuals have passed that building, they'll notice there's been some changes and it looks good. But they'll be looking to open in the spring or summer of next year, but hopefully it's spring. And another notice that Sammy's Southern Kitchen, that's planned to open at 16590, has renamed their business they still are called Sammy's Southern Kitchen in St. Peters, where they have another location, but they have renamed it in Wildwood to Bros Fish, Shrimp and More. So in this case, this doesn't impact their opening schedule, but they did just change and tinker around the name a little bit. There's 6 brothers that put work in to get to run the store. So it wanted to give a little bit more of a notice to those brothers and kind of show that bond. So good for them, and we'll see them opening hopefully at the beginning of next year. They have done quite a few renovations and just actually got done with all the maintenance and some painting that has been done at the building.
So when you mentioned next year, it's first quarter then, 2025? is
Yes,
what we're looking at?
that's the plan.
Okay, great, thank you.
Also, we have another lot of openings here. Nicole Little Interiors, it's already, I believe they were already kind of operating out of the Porch location, but they've actually applied for a business license and they offer design services. So good news there, another business opening. Great Clips has been sold and is under new management and ownership, sorry. And in that case, they have a new manager. Grapes Games, located at 16431 Village Plaza View Drive, recently opened, and they specialize in selling assortment of games, cards, collectibles, specifically Pokemon and Disney cards. And they actually got their business license back in September, but they're looking to have like events for the gaming community, the card gaming community. So good for them. They're over in Village Plaza too. We also have, last but not least, just an update from the Businesses of Wildwood organization. Their next holiday, they have a holiday gathering taking place at Lucky Dog Central on Wednesday, December 4th, from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. And if you're interested in attending, feel free. And all you have to do is email the president. Well, they haven't voted her in as president, but she's kind of acting as that. Miss Becky Salsa Shack. Thank you, Chair. Available for any questions.
Grapes Games, they were over in the Chesterfield Mall previously. So if I'm picturing the Chesterfield Mall, you would walk in that one entrance in.
Next to the goodness, that
Yeah,
restaurant, the Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory, and I think
On the
right
right.
on the left then, as you walk in the
Yes,
door.
that was
Oh, that one.
way
I don't think that's
I had them envisioned on the bottom floor, on like the, in the
It-
basement or
They have
whatever.
a much bigger space here at their new location in Wildwood, so they're really excited to be here. They've
Okay.
got it all set up. If you haven't been to visit, they have a lot of events they're promoting online. You can join their evenings. They're working to plan some birthday party events too, and they're just trying to make it a really warm and community focused kind of event for teens and young adult enthusiasts in the gaming world.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you very much. Any questions for the city administrator from committee members either here in the room or those attending remotely? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the topic of Wildwood holiday business promotional efforts. And again, I will turn things back over to the very able city administrator and to the communications manager.
In this case, thank you, Chair. I am going to turn it over to our communications and economic development manager for this one. Thank you.
Sure, sorry, there's an echo in my ear. I apologize.
That's okay.
But this. Okay, so what we've included in the packet for tonight is just a listing of a bunch of special offers that are happening this holiday season. It's not all comprehensive of all businesses, but it's the ones who have reached out to us or have we've stumbled upon to include. We promoted it sort of as a story on our website. It's prominently featured. It's shared in social media. It's been highlighted in the e-news and will continue to be promoted that way as well. And we're just trying to sort of push the shop local message and raise awareness about all the different opportunities people have to be festive this holiday season. And I mean, obviously you can read the list, but there's lots of things going on, from, you know, finding gifts for your family to visiting with Santa and, you know, shopping for yourself. So just want to encourage the community to go out and shop local and take a look at that information on our website and push it out in different ways too, to continue to spread the holiday shopping message.
And I will add just two quick items there, Chair, if you don't mind. Just
Absolutely.
with this, I mean, it just goes to show that, you know, kind of engaging the business community and kind of reintroducing, not reintroducing, but getting more engaged with the city. All these businesses they provided this to us. But the other thing, just bringing up the holiday tree lighting ceremony too, just wanted to mention that that is something we offer free of charge to, as long as you're a Wildwood business and you're selling goods at the event and you provide your own tent and table. But that, along with tree decorating with additional businesses are able to decorate a tree along Plaza Drive and are able to put up a small kind of like yard sign along that tree denoting that they decorated it. So it's a good visibility tool for them and helps them get a little bit more notoriety and extra signage. So in that case, just wanted to add a couple other holiday initiatives that we've put into place.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Does anyone have any questions for the city administrator or communications manager on either the business updates or the business promotional efforts? Don't appear to be any questions. So with that, we will move on to items ready for action, starting off with the window decal program. And I think for this, we turn things over to the communications manager.
Sure, thank you. So this is a follow-up on what we discussed last month, where the at the Wildwood Business Forum, the most recent one that we held in the fall, it was suggested that we need to maybe spend some energy pushing out the Wildwood brand and helping build a greater sense of community. And so the thought was to put just a refreshed, revised clings in the windows of some of our local commercial businesses, retail businesses, to instill that sense of pride. And so this is a follow-up on what we had talked about, with just a little bit additional information, including like a budget proposal and some just general concepts. It would be a small cling that, you know, would be 6 by 6 inches at max size. It would go on their door or their front window, and it would promote the shop local message. And so if you look in the packet materials that were included, we just had gotten a general estimate to get 200 clings printed. Right now, they're just a standard size. They'd be in color. And then we will have them, hopefully, if we approve it, arrive in time so they can be distributed at the January business forum, or when people renew their business licenses, we can mail it to them, or we can take it to them when we go and visit them at their locations. And it's just a nice way to refresh some of the old signage that might be in there in terms of a cling, and you know, push the shop local message.
I can add to that too, Chair, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So just a quick note on the fact that it would cost for the 200 clings about $325, which is cheaper than anticipated. There are also two other components. Gina had pressed up on it for a second, but replacing some of the old signage. I mean, there's a lot of WBA signs that are still located in a lot of windows, and the WBA hasn't existed for almost a year now. So that's something we wanted to, you know, this would be a good replacement for it, but it would be issued by the city. There are 4 templates kind of provided for the committee tonight that the department wanted to get direction on some kind of proofs of what this cling could look like, but there's also another approach. If we wanted to get this all done in time to be able to purchase them and print them for the January business forum, then we would most likely want to get direction on one of these designs or make slight modifications of the design presented tonight. But if we wanted to go out to the business community to get input on the design, that would be something that we would most likely not be able to do in time to get all the input and have a design type contest or just that general feedback. We'd almost want to probably work either way. At that forum, it's either we can give out stickers or we can launch a design contest for window decal stickers that would be placed in there. So 2 asks tonight, direction on the design, and then whether or not this is, we discussed this previously, but the 325 number coming in, whether to move forward with making the purchase after 2025 hits us, and then the design process. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Does anyone have any questions for the city administrator or the communications manager regarding this program? Councilmember Mabry.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Quick question. Who made up the 4 templates, proposals?
The department, but we do have someone on staff that's pretty good at putting designs together. She may or may not be in this room.
The next question is,
So be careful.
Yeah.
All feedback is welcome.
All feedback is welcome.
this is going somewhere to a motion. But the next question is, I'm confident everyone agrees that round is going to be more notable, more distinctive than square. So that triages down to fewer choices. I'd like to motion steam ahead.
Okay, so we have a motion to proceed. So I guess what we'll need tonight is 2 motions, if I understand correctly.
It could be
One-
2, it could be 1 motion that would encompass approving like saying, let's go ahead and purchase the 200 to start and see the success of the program. And then also approving one of the designs or approving a process for the design process. Sorry, that's it.
Okay, maybe what we'll do is just to make it a little clearer, we'll do the 2 separate motions.
Okay.
Unless anyone objects. So, Councilmember Mabry has made a motion, if I understand it, to proceed with this program. And then assuming that we get a second to this motion and it passes, we can come back and then you can make a motion in favor of a specific design.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'll second his motion.
second to the motion. Okay, all right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will take the final vote. All those in favor of proceeding with the window decal program as motioned by Councilmember Mabry, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. So now let's move on to the design, and I am assuming Councilmember Mabry, you would like to make a motion in favor of a specific design,
I'd like to move for approval of the first design.
which is concept number 1, just to be
Concept number
clear.
1.
Okay, so we have a motion to proceed with use of concept number 1 in the window decal program. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second from, I'm gonna let Councilmember McCutcheon second this one.
And just as a side note, I think that not just to randomly choose one of 4, I think that the font script there, kind of the general design, I think it matches well with Town Center, kind of, you know, the same green that are on the roofs and a lot of that same, I think it just fits very well with our main setting here, so.
All right, perfect. Any other discussion regarding this concept number 1 design for the window decal? Councilmember Mabry.
More editorial. The first one struck me as carrying the color motif, the tan and the medium green, which I see an awful lot in the
Yeah.
Wildwood motif.
Perfect. All right. So we have a motion, we have a second in favor of proceeding with concept number one.
Before the vote,
All those,
Chair, I just wanted to make one note if you.
Yes, sir.
don't mind. Thank you, Chair. Just a quick note that these are the dimensions 6x6 cling. That being said, and it's an important note for businesses, typically you would need some type of, there's a certain percentage, I believe it is 30% if I remember correctly, of what can be filled up on your window space. This does not go against any of that percentage of the window space. This is a city sanctioned sign, so it does not, they can still put up their other signage in their windows that complies with the rest of the code. So just wanted to make a quick notation that we're not taking anything away from what businesses can do visibility wise.
so if we do a, just to follow up on that, if we are mailing some of these out, are we going to make a note to that effect?
Yep.
Okay,
That's correct.
Those are included.
all right. So we have a motion, we have a second for concept number one. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Very good, thank you.
Chair,
Councilmember
at the
Mayor.
risk of staying welcome, I had wondered what the choice for the 6x6 size was pegged onto. Is that the largest legal for starting to count for window space? Was it the most economical when compared against an 8x8, and the prices for that already did not return an economies of scale? Or would an 8x8 for whatever the extra cost the printer is going to estimate that at, provide for 2 inches out of 6 as a third? That's going to be 33% more. I guess that's by width and height, so I didn't do the math, but for $200 more, you could have an 8x8 and that much more physical presence against a 6x6.
Yeah, the main component when looking at this was comparing it to some programs that are similar across the region, and typically you don't want to overdo it size wise. You want it to be somewhat of an accent to what's traditionally in the window. And typically they've been not necessarily 6x6, because a lot of individuals typically use like a rectangular shapes, but the square inches of the actual surface area typically revolves around that 6x6, so 36 square inches. So that's approximately what other cities and other chambers, things like that have used.
Bear with me. A circle is 82% the area of a square of the same diameter to, I guess, I believe it's 82 or 83 or something. May I propose that we entertain increasing the size of the circle, since we've chosen a circle now, to equal the same 36 square inches as a 6x6 would, and its presence would be made equal to or as great as 36 square inches, but in the larger diameter that it takes to get there for the circle.
So I think I understand your question, so I guess clarification here maybe is necessary. Even though this is a circular design, the plan is to have it on a square decal, correct?
No, well, it would come on a back square drop, but what it is saying here is that really the top and bottom are 6x6. So it would be printed on a square, but when it goes out in the window, it would be a circle. It would actually be
There would be no square white field behind the
No,
circle.
it would just be the circle. That's correct. So in that case, though, the dimension of the max length and the max width of the circle is 6 inches both ways. So theoretically, you could kind of picture a square behind it, and there is some absent space. But that would, if we were to want to fill in that space, that would most likely, I think that would increase the sheer size.
It'd be kind of in a wonky size too. I mean, it's 6.5 and 6.5 width by height. I just did some math. You're at like 35.1 or something. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
You made the mistake of getting a couple of engineering guys here involved.
Well, you might just, who knows? I don't know what size are standard. I mean, it might be a cost, if something's more standard than another, it might be a cost driver at some point too. It's like, and I don't know if that's the intent here, but I was just running some quick math on it, so.
Yeah.
I mean, we can run it through.
And I would have done it if you hadn't.
We can run it to the printer, have her look at our file, ensure that it's as, appropriate as possible. She might need to tweak the quote slightly, but we'll stay within that confines. And of course, if it's in favor and feels like you'd like to make it a little larger, I'm sure we could hit that.
Chair, I was struck by don't want to go overboard. That's certainly worse than nothing. 12 by 12 would be garish. 4 by 4 would be inadequate. 6 by 6 could be nudged a bit, as much as cost would allow us without being excessive. But I'm already gonna ask to leave that to the pros that we're looking at.
So have your questions been adequately addressed?
Yes.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you. Okay, so are there any other questions or comments from any committee members on the window decal program? Seeing none, we will move over into under ready for action, sign code review and signage survey timeline. So with this, I will turn things over to the city administrator again.
I will turn things, I'll pass it off to our communications and economic development manager, but then I will add an item after she talks about the survey timeline and just the idea of it in general. So let's
Sure.
get you started.
So with regard to the packet materials, as a follow-up to last month's meeting that we had, where it was suggested that perhaps we go out to our business community and get their feedback on how they feel about the current sign code in the city of Wildwood. We had talked about it as a team internally, and we thought that it might make more sense to basically give them information about what the sign code is, the history of the sign code, how we got to where we are before we just send out a survey and blanket ask for their opinions. Because we wanted to make sure that they understood some of that background. So in talking with the team and folding in the planning department too, we'd like to propose the possibility of at our January 23rd business forum, giving the businesses who attend the opportunity to hear from the planning department in terms of an overview of the city sign code, how we got here, what the background was, the opportunities that they've had over the years to tweak it and revise it. And then ask for them to, propose any questions that they may have on the spot, and then from there launch the survey. So we're not just sending out a blanket survey without some of that background information that might be helpful for them before they provide their input. And so on here, it sort of outlines that proposal with that timeline starting at the January 23rd business forum with that presentation from the planning department, and then the survey launching immediately after that meeting. And then setting a hard stop for when the survey could close, that we could review the information prior to the next proposed economic development committee meeting in February of 2025. And so that's what this document outlines. And then we have some of the sample questions that have been suggested at last month's meeting. And of course, we could change those and tweak those as the committee tonight feels, but that's what these materials are tonight.
Are there any, Councilmember Preston?
Just a comment made, as much as anything else, but maybe at least get a consensus on it. I like that idea. Just, if we want to elicit as much feedback as possible, what better than in-person feedback, and then to follow it up with a survey that people can respond to. I think we're just kind of at a dichotomous moment here where we get the ability to, let the business owners know that we're listening to them and trying to change things for the better to service them. So I think the more feedback we get, the better.
Okay, very good. Councilmember Mabry.
Thank you, Chair. I like the questions, of course, and you don't want too many questions because they get swallowed up in them. But one thing I thought had been brought up at the last meeting was that there were positive comments and there were negative comments about other municipalities' signages. And they seem to have a characteristic that's different from one to the next. I thought I recalled favorable comments about Kirkwood, maybe Webster, I'm not sure. But whether there are 90 municipalities or some more than that or less than that now throughout the metropolitan area. Question about perhaps name a municipality within metropolitan St. Louis out of all the X number that there are that you've been struck most favorably with in their design, their philosophy of signage. And then name one that you find most unfavorable and that you remember as being the most industrial or the most flagrantly over commercialized and just busy and confusing. But something of that nature so that you'd find out how many of the respondents actually had an opinion. And if only 4 people answer that question, you're gonna know that the respondents don't really pay a lot of attention to other municipalities or look for good signage principles while they're answering the rest of the questions. So is it an educated respondent pool or perhaps not?
So your proposal would be to ask that question to the people at the business forum. That wasn't necessarily a question that you were just directing to the city administrator and the communications.
No, I think you were, if I'm correct here, Mr. Mabry, you're suggesting adding that question to the
Yeah.
survey, and that would, without saying it, would be able to test whether or not this individual has something to compare it to, or is it just the city of Wildwood signage is not great because I've heard that, and maybe it's not as educated as, department likes that question.
Okay, good.
It could be question number 6A and question number 6B.
Yeah, right, 2-part, I mean, it is a 2-part.
What's, has any municipality struck you as most attractive, most communicative, most effective? And has any municipalities that you recall given you reason to think, I don't like that?
All right, thank you. Councilmember McCutcheon, you've had your hand up, hopefully not for too long, so.
No, I'm fine. I just would like to make sure that we also send something out to residents. I know, this is geared at businesses and we're getting their input, but I think we should also get resident input.
Resident input on the sign code?
Yes.
Okay,
A question for Councilmember Hutchins.
Councilmember Mabry, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Councilmember Hutchins, would you consider this as hopefully the highest pinnacle would be to get something like this stuck in the West News magazine? Because lots of people see that. The next alternative would be to stick it in our website where fewer people by percentage, I think, go and look at the website for news than they get the free West newspaper. What means did you have in mind to send out a postcard to all the residents, or what means would best communicate to the residents what's going on?
Well, I think the best way would to do a postcard, but I also understand the cost that goes with that. So maybe, we could put it in the West News. I'm not sure what that cost is. Or we could put it in our e-newsletter. I think a lot of people probably read that. Or we could, I don't know how long you want to make a decision, or we could put it in the next Gazette issue.
I was gonna say that in the next Gazette would technically go to the printer middle of February, so it would be pushing it a little bit, would be mailed out probably early March. So in that case, we'd be pushing it, but, and what if, to get that exposure, because that goes to every resident and at least every household in the city of Wildwood, maybe we have a focus on the business community, since we're able to kind of get a hold of them, there's less of them, so it's easier to kind of get to them. Maybe we proceed with getting the feedback from the business community, obviously. We can then have that, discuss it, but not take action on it until we get that published in the next edition of the Gazette. And then the department can go ahead and over the next month or so, put together the survey to make this front facing for residents versus making it facing towards businesses. Kind of the.
I like that idea.
Okay.
Give it a reconciliation period there.
Yeah. And then once we have both pieces of feedback, I already have a couple ideas the department has a couple ideas where we could probably get a lot of answers from our residents as long as you use the right language, but I think that we might wanna, for the resident side, we might even wanna maybe expand upon that. So come back with a template for what that survey would look like, if that would be okay with the committee.
And you'd have to include the sign code as well. And then start the survey.
All right, any other questions on this particular topic? From any of the other committee members? Just one little confirmation here, the next business forum, I think you said city administrator is January the 23rd, correct?
That is correct. It's a Thursday at 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. in this room.
And probably every council member already realizes this, but they are all welcome at that business forum. So if you have a chance, you may find it interesting to come in and meet some of the business owners here in the city, and some of them may even reside in your ward. So if you've got the opportunity to come in here, I believe it'll be at 7:30 as it has been in the past.
That's correct.
All right, super, thank you. Okay, moving on to not ready for action, update to the economic development guide. Anything new here that we wanted to add?
Nope, just that it's gonna be part of the master plan update along with the sign code review, so it's kind of being tied into both those things, so master plan updates coming up.
Very good. Miscellaneous, does anyone have any miscellaneous items to bring up or that they want to ask a question about? So I have one. One time in the past, we discussed a potential job board of some sort. Where did we leave that?
So we have the job, we can legally do it, we just have not gotten any, no one has filled out the form. It's on our website,
Okay,
but there has been no use of the job board.
okay. Does it need to be promoted? Have we promoted it or what?
We have put it on our main page of our website on the business page, and then we've also, I believe we did a Facebook post back when on the Wildwood Business Connection page, not the City of Wildwood page. Because the main thing was kind of playing the ropes here, walking a tightrope to not the city attorney advised that first of all, they have to have a business license first and foremost. Once they have that, they can provide it, but we also will be just taking, not even what they provide us, we'll be cleaning it, pretty much saying, we have created a format where we would put it on a page, here are the open jobs. Two businesses I've spoken to did want to provide this feedback that they didn't know how much reach our website would get versus others, because they would say, what makes you bigger than Indeed and other sites like that was the main, there was two businesses that I've spoken to about that. And that was the main feedback, was that kind of like what makes you compete with Indeed. I tried to explain to them that, locals may be looking at our website and may say, oh, my kid, he just turned 16, she just turned 16, she needs a summer job or something along those lines, which would help kind of connect the two dots there.
Okay.
But we can go ahead and re-promote it if you'd like.
I wasn't necessarily suggesting that. I just didn't remember what the status of it was at this point in time. And I guess the main thing is, we have made that available to the community. We've already promoted it once. So if somebody brings it up, that service is there for them if they want to take advantage of it.
Yes, and if we're gonna say some good things about what we offer too, if you haven't already, please do stop by the front desk and bring, you can have up to one, 8.5 by 11, flyer, coupon, whatever it may be, as long as you're a Wildwood business, you can go in our new resident packets, which we mail every month. So take advantage of that. It's done as a giving back to our business community.
Super, very good. Any other miscellaneous items that anyone would like to discuss? Seeing none, the next meeting date is December the 16th, 2024 at 6
Mr. Galani had a question.
PM. Councilmember Galani, I think you had your hand up.
Oh, sorry, I had to unmute. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, sir.
In regards to what we were just talking about with the job board, and Tom, you had mentioned that some of the businesses' feedback was that, would I get the same exposure on there versus Indeed or one of the other places? I would advocate that, the response to that should be like, you should still, list your job availability on Indeed or whatever other forum you're going to use for a global reach, but we're not charging them for this, right? It's just a service that we're providing.
Yep.
So if there's no cost to it, it's just a supplemental availability to post your job. It's not in order to negate any other type of advertising or anything that you would be doing, is what my thought would be on it. That was it.
Thank you, Councilmember Galani. Good point.
Yep.
All right, that being said, if there are no other questions or comments or suggestions, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made to adjourn by Councilmember Preston.
Nobody at home already drinking?
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I'll say.
All right, thank you for the second. Okay, motion to adjourn has been made, non-debatable. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance tonight.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening
Post
and a
meeting-
good Thanksgiving.